Meanwhile, hi, this is Seth.
And this is Marcus. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to another episode of Meanwhile. What are we discussing today, Seb?
Rings of Power, Episode 5, Partings. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. Marcus, what were your thoughts on the new episode?
Well, I actually think it was like a bit of a backstep in terms of quality from the last episode. If you watched our last video, it's going to be up here somewhere in the link so you can watch it. But I actually enjoyed the last episode. I felt like it was a foot forward in the right direction for the show. But in my personal opinion, I think this episode was really fillery. It kind of didn't really move the plot forward that much. Everything, I feel like everything that happened in this episode is stuff that was already happening, and we've just kind of like, it's like we're on just a straight line at the moment, and there's no descending or ascending. It's just all, nothing's really happening, and it felt really fillery. But I will highlight the one part that I did enjoy is, again, I really enjoy Elrond and Durin's interactions. I think they're great. They're like slightly reminiscent of, like, you know, Legolas and Gimli. I think Gil-galad was cool, and it was nice to see more of his character, because he's kind of only been in the show, and I think it was the first episode when he kind of sent Galadriel off. So yeah, I mean, what were your thoughts?
I see your points for sure. I feel like it did kind of feel a little bit more fillery, and it didn't really progress that much, but I still enjoyed it. I think the show is still on an upwards trajectory for me. Is it like as big of a kind of leap forward as I would have liked? Definitely not, but you know, I still think the show is improving. I'm growing to enjoy the show a lot, mainly because I really want to know, I really want the answers to questions. But yeah, I agree. I think like Elrond and Durin's relationship is a highlight of the show for sure. But I think for this episode, for me, the highlight was probably the Mithril like flashback story of the elf versus the Balrog.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool. Obviously, the Balrog design very reminiscent of the one that we saw in Fellowship, and it just brought back lots of memories. But also, it looked cool. And I always like seeing these kind of, like, you know, epic, badass kind of moments. So I liked it a lot. That was definitely a highlight for me. Let me just go through my notes and see what else I've got in here. Galadriel is a bit annoying. Yeah.
Yep.
Galadriel is still a little bit
That's
annoying.
a recurring theme.
And in fact, it was my girlfriend who was saying this as well. We were both just like, why does she feel like... She just feels very entitled. Like, she gives off that kind of entitled vibe. Where you're just kind of like, oh god, shut up, please. It's like, she just has that aura of, like, being arrogant and kind of, like, feeling like she's above everyone, high-roading everyone.
Yeah.
And we get it, you know, she's an elf, she's, like, badass, blah, blah, blah. But still, it's like when she was like, come at me. When she was, like, telling all the, like, training the soldiers. Again, like... It feels like it should be a badass moment for her, but it doesn't come off as such because she's just not a very likable character. Now, that being said, I feel like unlikable characters can still make very compelling stories. I think point being, a reference being Rue in Euphoria. She's the character that you definitely don't root for, but you also enjoy watching a lot. Whereas Galadriel, for me, as of right now, is someone whom I don't necessarily enjoy, nor do I approve. So it's kind of like a...
You know who else is a really annoying character? Isildur.
He's
doing me in, because he is written like... and this is like a word I'm going to keep saying over and over again, is like, he's just written so generically. And he's actually annoying. He's like a generic... lost soul kind of character who's not found his way, and also, you know, the fact that he kind of like covered for the guy who blew that ship up, which I just kind of sat there, I was like, but why? You know, I know the show is presenting a lot of questions, but I feel like every episode we watch, there are just more and more and more and more and more and more questions that are presented that are just never answered. Like, you know, the Stranger, like there was a lot of progression with the Stranger this episode. He talks now.
The Stranger for sure.
He understands things. He's also Iceman from the X-Men all of a sudden.
He's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, he literally is. Again, like I still feel no love towards the Harfoots. They're still really annoying.
The song part was a little annoying too, to be fair.
I can't.
I'm not a big fan
there was so
of, like,
much
song
music.
breaks
Like
in
there was
films.
so many musical elements in this. Like even the orcs were singing at the end of the episode, and I was kind of like, okay, the orc chant was fine. It kind of made sense that the orcs were chanting, "We're going to war." I also thought that it was interesting that, you know, we saw like the men of the Southlands turn back to their old ways, which I thought you kind of had a feeling was going to happen. One thing that I kind of struggle with is, you know, how so Arondir and Bronwyn, they keep saying to each other, "What choice do we have?" It's like, you can just go. Just why do you have to stay in this tower?
That is very true.
It really bugged
my girlfriend
me.
again said, my girlfriend brought this up as well, was being like, why can't you just leave?
Yeah.
Why do you have to stay at that tower? Which is very true.
Yeah.
And definitely there are lots of like, you know, glaring. It's like even what was it, 2 episodes ago when they were like, oh, you know, the Harfoots, the guy that broke his foot, you know, you'd be left behind now, bada bing, bada boom. Which is like, bro, just fucking put him on a car.
Yeah.
You know? There are loads of these moments where you're kind of like, huh? But so I do understand why, you know, you and quite a lot of people aren't happy with the show so far. To be fair, I see
it's just it's all like very convenient.
It is. There is a lot of convenient writing for sure.
Yeah,
and I do acknowledge that. But I think you did bring up one of the main reasons why I'm still interested in the show or intrigued by the show, which is the Stranger and who he may be. Now, in my notes, I remember writing something about, okay, in the song that the Harfoot is singing, one of the lyrics is, not all those who wander are lost, and I'm pretty sure that's a Gandalf line.
Yes, you know? I believe it was.
So immediately I thought, oh shit, maybe the Stranger is Gandalf. But throughout the episode, we got lots of eye imagery as well. When you know, he was in the crater, boom, it was the shape of an eye, and then those strange people came down.
Yep.
Evil-looking people. Who the hell is that? And then, of course, when he and the Harfoot looked in somewhere, they got a vision of Sauron and stuff. So I don't know. It could be Gandalf. It could be Sauron. I personally, I don't want it to be either.
I agree.
I feel like Sauron, I don't know. I don't buy it. I don't buy him being Sauron. Like, realistically, like, Sauron is not meant to have met any of the hobbits or any of their kind until the events of Lord of the Rings, or maybe even The Hobbit. And I don't know. I just don't buy it. Why bother? You know, why bother being with these Harfoots now? What's he pretending? What's his end game? Who are those strange people? I mean, that's the main bit I'm still intrigued by, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why I'm still watching. To be fair,
but But don't you think? To me, it's odd because we are 5 episodes in, so we're like just over halfway through the season because there are 9 episodes. We have like no answers to anything. Like, the plot hasn't, when you really think about it, when you take a step back, the plot really hasn't progressed that much. We've had 5 episodes of kind of nothing. Like, small events are happening. Numenor going to war is the biggest event. That is, to me, the biggest event. The Southlands conflict, that's been happening for 4 episodes now. True. In my mind, I was expecting this episode where Adar attacked the tower, because that's kind of what you were leading up to in the last episode.
But at the same time, like, I feel like it's a double-edged sword where people would then be saying it's too fast-paced. So I actually have no qualms with the pacing as of yet. If we have this throughout the whole season and by the end of episode 10 it's still like this, then I would complain and be like, the pacing's all off. But for me, it's quite slow, but it's not an issue yet.
Okay.
For me, when it would be an issue is if it was episode 6 and it was still nothing is happening. And judging from the preview, we already know that's not the case, because the preview looks pretty freaking sick. There's going to be a battle, looks like. We've got some cavalry going on, so episode 6 looks pretty decent. I'm actually quite excited, simply because, like, I don't know, for me, yes, this show has lots of glaring issues, but not yet where I'm like, I'm not watching this. However, I will acknowledge I am hella biased because I am a Tolkien fan and I do like the story of Lord of the Rings, so it's more like I want to watch it maybe because of other reasons as opposed to just the show being good. So perhaps my review, or our reviews probably, would have to be taken with a huge grain of salt in that sense. But I don't know, for me, I'm a little bit more positive.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more positive in my thinking, in that I feel like so far I'm not yet like, this show is shit.
That's it. I think this is one of the few times that we've kind of been on slightly opposite opinions, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure.
Which makes me like
but
the
I do
show
see
ever
why,
so
though.
slightly more, because we've never kind of disagreed on a show.
It's true. True.
But I can totally see where you're coming from. I respect your opinion. But
it's wrong.
No. I think I'm actually really happy that you like it, because I wish I could.
And I do think that the visuals are getting better too. I feel like this episode looked particularly good.
Yeah.
Again, I'm always very impressed with the orc scenes. I think the orcs always look good because they are done practically. A lot of the sets and the scenery in this episode felt a lot less CG. The only most CG bits are most likely some bits of Numenor, and of course the Mithra, like the elf versus Balrog bit. But I'm okay with that bit looking a little CGE, just because it's meant to be like a fantastical story. It's
kind of like the Deathly Hallows bit in Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. Great analogy for sure. But yeah, I mean, I feel like another actually, speaking of that bit, another bit that I had in my notes was, do you think that Gil-galad is hiding something? Like, do you think he's using Elrond as a pawn for something else other than the Mithril? Or, like, do you think it really is the Eldar dying or whatever? I don't know. There's something that's
hard to
like
tell.
when he was like looking over Gimli and Elrond.
Yeah, he feels a bit facetious. Like there's some nefarious intent. But I mean, to be fair, it's hard to tell.
I don't know why.
Hard to tell. We'll find out, I think. It's in, to that extent, like if Gil-galad does have some kind of nefarious hidden agenda, does that mean Celebrimbor knows about it? And was he thus lying to Elrond? I did find it really interesting to see kind of how deep Elrond's friendship with Durin goes, and how far he will go to not break an oath that he's made, even if it means the death of his whole race, which I always take issue with.
For sure. It did also feel a little like it's pretty obvious that that he found the Mithril.
Yeah, I was
when he's like
Gil-galad was just standing there,
I'm
like,
not gonna break an oath.
Yeah.
Gil-galad's like, bro, I know.
Yeah, it's like Gil-galad standing
making
there,
it so
right?
obvious.
And you're just there like, I made an oath, and you're like, just nod. Nod.
I mean, but him saying I made an oath basically confirms that they found
it does.
Like, that's how I would see it. And I
does.
feel like Gil-galad's just there like, you just told me that they did. I'm not gonna break an oath. But that means that they did find it.
Exactly.
That scene irked me a little bit, to be fair.
But I
do like how, like, maybe I feel like Durin agreeing to help Elrond. I really loved that interaction. I really loved that exchange and how he made it like humorous and kind of like, yeah, go on then. But there's also a part of me that feels, was it too easy? Like, was it too quick? I get it, obviously, like, Durin and Elrond are best of friends and they trust each other. But there is also a part of me that if I were Durin and Elrond came to me saying this, I'll be like, are you just saying this now, or did you know this all along? Like, I feel like it would take me quicker than just sitting down and being like, whose lives are in my hands now,
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
being said, I still really enjoyed that scene. You know, it did. You're right. It did make me think a lot of Gimli and Legolas. So I really like the relationship for sure.
Yeah, I think they're the best part of the show for me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By far, I think they're definitely the best part of the show. I think you are right. It did fit. Again, like there are some parts of the show that I just feel like, I don't know if convenient is the right word or just lazy writing.
Just too
convenient
sometimes
writing,
things just happen
perhaps.
too quick.
Yeah.
Convenient. Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see because I have a feeling you are right. I feel like what will happen is they'll go back to Khazad-dûm, and Durin's father will be like, "Are you mad, bro? Like, there's no way I'm going to give you all my mithril. Damn those dirty elves, they can die." And then maybe this is where the true bitterness between the races emerges.
Yeah, I was gonna say perhaps this is it. Perhaps this is where, you know, that divide truly comes. To be fair, I think like, you know, that would be a very interesting story to kind of explore as to why the elves and the dwarves hate each other, because it does feel like there is already that kind of
there's definitely a vibe there
already, but
yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, to be fair, it is like, you know, for people that read or watched The Hobbit to Lord of the Rings, sometimes it is very easy to go, oh, why do they hate each other so much? So it would be nice to get an answer, maybe, or explore that without having to go to YouTube or like exploring on freaking, you know, Wikipedia and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say this episode for me, yes, albeit being slow, albeit not being, you know, the most exciting, for me it still passes, and for me was like a 5.5 out of 10. What about you?
4.5 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the preview looks good for next episode.
I haven't seen the preview.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be a battle.
I don't like looking at previews.
It looks pretty good.
I have
it
to
looks
say.
pretty litty, so I'm pretty excited for it, if I'm completely honest.
Okay. Hey man, I want this show to be great. I want it to be good. I want it to be sick. So I'm hoping the next episode like blows me away, because the last episode I enjoyed. So
I personally think that since the new director has stepped in, the Asian guy, the quality's just gone up for me. So hopefully he continues to do the same. But yeah, let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of the new episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Which team are you on? Whose side are you on? All of that stuff. Marcus, do the outro.
Well, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any of our content, because we upload multiple times every week reacting to all sorts of stuff. And of course, follow us on Instagram, TikTok. I've been Marcus.
And I've been Seth. Peace.